In the heyday of their youth, our senior citizens were quite the charmers, making the ladies swoon left and right. Now you might be thinking, how could these sweet, innocent-looking seniors ever be the heartthrobs of their time? Well, let's dive right in and find out. Picture this. You're a young lad in the thrilling era of the 60s. The Beatles are breaking records, the miniskirt is in fashion, and you, my friend, are at the top of your game. The world is your oyster and you're out there making waves. Our first tale comes from a gentleman named Harold. He remembers his smooth moves at the local diner, where he'd slide into the booth across from a pretty young thing, flash his most charming smile and say, "Darling, you are the cherry to my milkshake." You can imagine the giggles and blushing faces that followed. Then there's George, a former military man with a heart of gold. Dressed in his uniform, he'd catch the eye of every woman who passed by. His secret weapon? A single rose, which he'd present with a simple, "For the most beautiful lady I've seen today." Oh, George, you old romantic. And who could forget Billy? Billy was a bit of a joker. He'd approach a woman, pretend to stumble and fall, then look up at her and say, "I guess I've fallen for you." The laughter that ensued was music to his ears. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. There were mishaps, missteps, and plenty of hilarity along the way. Like the time Harold accidentally spilled his milkshake on his date's dress, or when George's rose was swiped by a cheeky dog. And Billy? Well, let's just say some women weren't too impressed with his comedic approach. Through it all, these gentlemen remained undeterred. They were, after all, the charmers of their era, navigating the world of romance with humor, wit, and a dash of audacity. Who knew our seniors were such Casanovas in their day? Opening. As smooth as they were, there were also times when things didn't quite go as planned. Oh, the stories we have for you. Tales of charm and charisma, yes, but also of blunders and bloopers. Our senior gentlemen, as suave as they were in their youth, weren't always on their A game. Can you believe it? Well, buckle up, because here come the tales of the times when our seniors' attempts to impress the ladies didn't quite hit the mark. Picture this, a young man, dressed in his finest, ready to sweep a lady off her feet. He steps onto the dance floor, extends his hand and promptly steps on her foot. Not exactly the start he had envisioned, but surely a memorable one. Or consider the gentleman who thought he had mastered the art of flirtation. He delivers a well-rehearsed line to a lady, only to realize he had been practicing the wrong language. The look on his face was priceless, and the lady's laughter? Well, that was music to everyone's ears. And who could forget the time one of our seniors decided to show off his cooking skills? He invited a lady over for a homemade dinner, promising a meal she'd never forget. True to his word, it was unforgettable, but for all the wrong reasons. The smoke alarm going off was certainly a highlight of the evening, but it's not all about the mishaps. These stories are a testament to the resilience of our seniors. They dusted themselves off, laughed along, and jumped back into the game. Because, let's face it, a little embarrassment never hurt anyone, and in the end, it's these hilarious memories that make the journey worthwhile. These tales of misunderstood signals, embarrassing moments, and humorous misunderstandings show us the human, relatable side of our seniors. It's a reminder that we all have our moments, and it's how we handle them that truly counts. Closing. Even the best of us stumble sometimes, but our seniors sure knew how to make a memorable impression. Through all the triumphs and blunders, our seniors gained some invaluable wisdom. They've seen it all, done it all, and they have some priceless advice to share. Ever heard the phrase, older and wiser? Well, it's time to put it to the test. First up, we have Joe. Now Joe learned the hard way that sometimes less is more. He recalls a time when he thought that the more cologne he wore, the more attractive he would be to the ladies. As it turns out, overwhelming someone's senses is not the way to win their heart. Let's just say Joe learned the true meaning of making a lasting impression that day. Next, we have Bob. Bob's wisdom comes from a series of unfortunate events involving a pet parrot and a potential love interest. If there's one thing Bob wants you to remember, it's this: never let your pet parrot do the talking for you. Trust me, it's a story for the books. Then we have Fred. Fred learned that being yourself is the key to winning someone's heart. He once tried to impress a girl by pretending to be an expert in modern art. Let's just say that the date ended with him declaring that a fire extinguisher was a postmodern masterpiece. And lastly, there's Bill. Bill's tale is a testament to the saying, patience is a virtue. After many failed attempts at impressing the ladies with quick wit and flashy moves, he realized that slow and steady really does win the race. These seniors may have had their fair share of missteps and mishaps, but they've come out the other side with a sense of humor and some incredible stories to share. They've learned that laughter is the best medicine, that honesty is the best policy, and that sometimes the best way to impress someone is simply by being yourself. And there you have it, folks, the hilarious adventures of our smooth-talking seniors. They may not always have gotten the girl, but they sure have some entertaining stories to tell.